Like that shit. Dun, 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 dun.
Let's get a perfect recording so we can retire this show.
First class. Fantastic. Voyage. To everyone in the stands, you can hate us now.
An accomplished educator, Tomisha Price-Brock has led superior instrumental and vocal ensembles on the public school level in Virginia, South Carolina, and North Carolina. A native of Carrollton, Virginia, Tomisha Price-Brock began her education at the age of 3 at the Hampton University Laboratory Institute and graduated at the age of 16 from Smithfield High School located in Smithfield, Virginia. She received a Bachelor of Music Education degree from Virginia State University in 2005, a Master of Music Education degree from Norfolk State University in 2011, and has completed additional coursework at Capella University in 2012. Dr. Brock received her PhD in Music Education from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro in 2020. Dr. Brock has served as Director of Instrumental Music and Coordinator of Music Education at the University of Mount Olive, as Director of Bands at Garfield High School, and as Director of University Bands and Assistant Professor of Music at Clark Atlanta University. She holds the distinct honor of being the first female band director at Clark Atlanta University in the Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. Dr. Brock has also served as Associate Director of Bands and Assistant Professor of Music at Mississippi Valley State University and Director of University Bands at Elizabeth City State University. Dr. Brock was a 2019 Intercollegiate Music Association Symphonic Band Clinician and the 2017 HBCU MBDC All-Star Concert Band Clinician at the annual conference held in Atlanta, Georgia. She was named Spectacular Magazine's 2016 Woman of the Year in the category of Education and received Elizabeth City State University's Queen Dominion Woman of the Year Award in 2014. In 2013, she was honored by the Northeastern North Carolina chapter of the National Council of Negro Women, receiving the Black Pearls Unsung Hero Award for outstanding contributions in the category of Arts and Sciences. Dr. Brock has served as a guest clinician and adjudicator at several events to include the Mid-South Regional High Stepping Championships, Northeast Regional High Stepping Championships, North Carolina Show Style Band State Competition, and others. In the community, Dr. Brock is the founder and CEO of Prodigious Concepts, LLC, and serves as a Praxis 2 and educational consultant, assisting music education majors and current professionals with the tools necessary for success on teacher licensure assessments. She's an honorary member of Tuba Phi Tuba Brass Fellowship, Tau Beta Sigma National Honorary Band Sorority Incorporated, and Kappa Kappa Psi National Honorary Band Fraternity Incorporated. She's an active member of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated and Sigma Alpha Iota International Music Fraternity for Women, and holds active and associate memberships in the Norfolk State University Alumni Association and Virginia State University Alumni Association. She's a past president of the Intercollegiate Music Association and maintains professional memberships in the College Band Directors National Association, National Association for Music Educators, Women Band Directors International, and the HBCU National Band Directors Consortium. Dr. Brock has one daughter, Lakaya. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Dr. Brock.
Everybody, if you can just take your phones or devices off mute, and let's just go ahead and welcome Dr. Brock. We want to really, even personally, thank you for coming in today. Especially, even in my household, the family community, we're grieving right now. This was intentionally timely, but we didn't expect, a death of two of our own band classmates that, if you haven't heard, that died uh, while they were on vacation. Um, but, with so much going on with COVID and all of these other things, don't want to talk about politics, but all these things are stressful. So, we really thank you. Students, you need to message your classmates who aren't in here for this class, because this is really the final class. They need to find a way to get in here as soon as possible. And then I'm gonna hand it over. You have all controls over everything, and I'm here to listen and receive too.
Well, thank you so much. It is truly an honor to be here. And like you said, my hearts and prayers definitely go out to the FAMU community, the Robinson family, the Westlake High School community, and all those who were impacted by that family. Today's session is going to be very interactive. I had handouts, but of course, we've done enough schoolwork so we could just interact in the chat. And I guess, at times, so there will be a time for a question and answer period and a time where you can unmute yourselves and things like that. I'm going to, will I be able to present my screen? Okay, so I'm going to.
Yeah, you're a co-host.
Okay, I'm going to present my screen and go through the presentation. But before I do that, I know we've had a long day at work, a long day in classes, or just a long day in life today. So I want everyone to just take a moment, take a deep breath in and let that breath out. And then we're going to do a 1-minute meditation. What I want everyone to do is just completely clear your minds, whatever's going on in your personal life, whatever's going on in your educational career life. I want you to just take a moment and just imagine if money was no object and you could be anywhere in the world right now. COVID wasn't going on. You could just be anywhere in the world right now in your place of Zen, your place of relaxation. You could just go there right now. I want you to imagine going to that place, clear everything out of your mind, and just take a deep breath and close your eyes for 1 minute. Don't let any distractions hinder you, like your cell phone or any other technology. Just take 1 minute and just go to your happy place. Okay, today's session is a spinoff of a webinar I did a couple of weeks ago on music education and mental health, addressing the growing crisis. Yes, we're going to talk to music majors. Yes, we're going to talk about music education and mental health, but we're just going to also talk about just self-care, just how to really, cope with a lot of the different things that are happening around us, either personally, mentally, environmentally, or indirectly, as a result of taking on someone else's grief or someone else's pain as well. So today's session is entitled Music Education and Mental Health, Increasing Awareness and Addressing a Growing Crisis. What is mental health? Mental health, of course, is a state of well-being in which you realize your own abilities, you can cope with normal stresses of life, you can work productively and fruitfully, and you're able to make a contribution to your community. Of course, that is a definition coming from the World Health Organization. And of course, when we talk about mental health, this is something that Dr. Williams mentioned in our webinar. It includes anything that deals with your emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also determines how we handle stress, how we interact with our peers, with our family members, and how we make choices, be it good, bad, or indifferent. Mental health is very important no matter what stage of life we're at, from infancy to adolescence and adulthood. We need to be aware of our mental health. And it is very possible that at some point in time, you're going to go through some type of mental health issue or mental health crisis in your life. It's just how well are we equipped to recognize it, to deal with it, to cope with it, and to heal and move on from it. Some common mental health ailments that we're going to cover today as it relates to you all as college students or college professors, or just relates to you in general, is stress and anxiety, depression, anger, sleep or eating disorders, and abuse. Abuse is something that we did not cover in our webinar, but I definitely feel that we need to cover it in our session today. And so I'll go more into detail about that in a few moments. As it relates to music programs, we're also going to talk about state anxiety and trade anxiety. I understand we may have some singers that may be on the call today, those of you who are getting ready for recitals or juries, those of you who are getting ready to student teach, those of you who are getting ready to take praxis. So we're going to talk about the anxiety that's associated with those types of things. Identifying the triggers, when you think about it, I want you to just kind of assess yourself over this past week, this past semester, just how you've been doing, just how are you doing physically? Do you find yourself more irritable than normal? Do you find that you're unable to concentrate sometimes? Do you find yourself just not being able to motivate yourself in the morning to get up to go to class? Are you in class, especially online classes, as soon as you log in, something triggers you and you're ready to log off? Are you avoiding going to meetings? Are you just not, I guess, not in a good place as it relates to where you were when the semester first started or when the week first started? So just think about some of the things you're feeling now and how you interact with people. Do you feel that your attention span, a lot of times you're not able to focus on things for a very long period of time now? Do you feel, are you eating later in the day, or are you skipping meals altogether? Are you finding that you're up at 2 or 3 in the morning and you just can't seem to get yourself to sleep? Are you waking up multiple times during the night for no reason at all? Are you experiencing insomnia or anything like that? I just think that, being aware of what's going on with your body and being aware of what your body is telling you is a clear indicator or early indicator that you may be under some type of mental stress or mental dilemma. The first sign, of course, is always going to be a physical sign. It may be an ache in your shoulder or ache in the back that you haven't had before. It could be a lingering headache that you've had for a week that's not even associated with the test that you're about to take, but you're just getting a headache around the same time every day. Or you'll find that you'll log on and a few minutes into class, you'll just get groggy, or you'll just get kind of foggy and you kind of tune out to what the teacher is saying. Mentally and emotionally, you may have a test or a presentation coming up, or you're getting ready to practice and you have to upload what you're playing on smart music or whatever you're using, and you just blank out. You blank out completely, and you knew you just played Careless Whisper 20 times in a row perfectly and can't play it now to save your life online. So just thinking about those mental things and just blacking out, that's just odd for you. You know that you're typically on top of things, and now it's just like, why can't I remember that? Or how did I forget that? Or even environmental. Are there some things that are happening around you, be it in your dorm, be it that some of us are starting to shut back down? How is this triggering just your anxiety and how you feel about, oh, I have to make it to the grocery store. I have to go pick this up. I have to go pick this up. What about this? What happens if we shut down again? I just think, identifying these triggers early is going to be a key to one, increasing the awareness of what's going on with you, how are you feeling, if you need to seek out help, and then how to cope and how to kind of calm yourself back down. So we're going to talk about, like I said, identifying and addressing some of the triggers that deal with mental health and anxiety. A lot of times for music majors, talking to the students first, there is a lot that we expect you to do when you come to college, especially if you're a first generation college student, or if you're a freshman coming to college for the first time. You're coming out of high school. Now you're totally responsible for getting yourself up in the morning. You're responsible for taking 16, 17, 18 credits in your first semester, where your entire high school career probably only required you to have 22 or 24 credits to graduate. Probably 20, 22 if you were graduating with a general diploma, and 24 credits if you were graduating with the college prep track trying to go to college. And now we're asking you to get up on your own. We're asking you to go to 8 o'clock classes. We're asking you to be responsible for your own learning. And we're also asking you to go to the same class 3 days a week, practice after that class, turn in assignments for all of your classes at the same time. And now, of course, all of your classes are virtual learning, where last year, you may have been face-to-face for the majority of the year. Majority of high school, you were face-to-face, and now you're taking all of your classes online, or even if you're in a hybrid format, you're still taking a good portion of your classes and doing all of your work through Canvas or Blackboard, Moodle, Schoology, or whatever you're using for your campus. So that's, that can definitely trigger some anxiety when you get homesick. You're not used to being away from home, when you're not used to having good time management and getting up in the morning. You're not used to balancing, hey, I might need to go to sleep at 9 o'clock tonight as opposed to 11:30. I might need to put the PlayStation down for a little while and actually focus on this assignment. So those are some things that, we have to be aware of, is that going to college, I think, you've heard it time and time again. I had an English teacher tell me the A that you got in the high school in English on the composition paper is a C in college. So you have to do that much more work. You have to put that much more time into it. I never had to study for a test in high school. When I got to college, I got a wake-up call almost immediately in my first class that, whoa, I might actually need to open the book and read this chapter once or twice to know what I'm doing. So we have to change our mindset and understand that while it looks like we only have 3 classes for that semester, those 3 classes are worth 3 credits each. And we have to realize the time we have to put in for those classes. And sometimes that could be a shock to the system. Additionally, we are living in a new environment. We're basically on our own. We've graduated from high school and we're grown now, so to say. So we're responsible for maintaining our living space. We're responsible for interacting with others. You're not just interacting with your brothers or sisters, your cousins, or people in your neighborhood. Now you're interacting from people from different states, different countries most of the time. And all of us have different cultural differences, different backgrounds, different religious differences. And we have to be able to navigate all of that. Sometimes having an untidy roommate can be stressful. Sometimes having a roommate that has frequent visitors, and we're used to being a loner, or we're used to being an introvert, and dealing with someone who's outgoing, partying all the time, or may live in a lifestyle contrary to what we're used to living. It can kind of put a strain, on the stress, being able to say, hey, setting boundaries with your roommate, setting positive boundaries with your roommates about what it is, just daily interactions, how to tidy up your room, how to respect each other's belongings, how to respect study time, when they're ready to turn up and you have this 10-page paper that's due tomorrow, how to understand those boundaries. Believe it or not, that can be a stressor. It can be a trigger to what it is we're trying to do, let alone you're in the band. So having to go to band practice and coming in and having a roommate that doesn't understand that you have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning for that parade, or that you're coming in late at night because you just got back from a game. So a lot of times, communication, early communication with your roommates, a lot of the times can really help to set those boundaries and help to build and strengthen your relationship with your roommates. Or of course, we're living in the modern age now. We have suite mates and we have individual rooms and things now, but just being able to have those conversations with the people that we commune with can ward off a lot of the triggers that kind of trigger undue stress that can deviate from what it is we're trying to do. So in addition to being away from home for the first time, dealing with people from different areas that we're not used to, getting used to people, and then just time management. We have very few time, when we're face to face, to get from building to building and class to class, and just prioritizing your schedule, knowing how early to leave for class, knowing how to prepare for class, understanding that even if the class doesn't start until 9:20, you need to be logged in at 9:10. Just not waiting until the last minute to do things. You always, there's an old cliche, band directors use it all the time: to be early is to be on time, to be on time is to be late. That is so true. So that is a good mantra, I guess, or a good words of wisdom to live by. You want to be ahead of time. That way, especially in the virtual environment, students and professors try to, log on time and early, because with technology, it fails us. You want to make sure your Wi-Fi connection is strong. You want to make sure you have all of your materials. Make sure that you're able to access, that you're able to hear, that your speaker works, that your mic work, that your cameras work. I know now all across the nation, the issue we have is we'll log into class to teach classes, and we're teaching to a bunch of blank screens because all of our students have their cameras off for whatever reason. So, just making sure logging in time, I think, and preparing early. You want to make sure that you have enough time so that if something goes wrong, you have enough time to kind of address it and fix it and readjust before class starts. But also just being on time, it just helps to kind of de-stress and deprogram. You don't want to always feel like you're trying to run a race to get to where you need to be. So a lot of the times logging into class early will allow you to breathe. That is the first rule of anything. Remember to breathe. Nothing is ever as bad as it seems. And between classes, I'm going to go ahead and log into my next class so that I can take a moment and breathe. I'm going to have my camera off and my mic off, of course, if I'm early, but I'm going to take that time to breathe, organize all the materials I need for that class, just kind of deprogram and de-stress and get all of last class out of my mind so that I can devote my undivided attention to the class I'm going to now. It's nothing like going to math class and you're stressing about the playing test you just bombed. It's nothing like coming to band practice and you're worried about whether or not your composition paper made the mark or not. So you want to make sure that you have enough time to clear your mind ahead of time. So again, being away from home for the first time, that homesickness, that anxiety, that uncertainty of being able to take care of yourself. That's one trigger. Dealing with roommates, dealing with people from different backgrounds, dealing with strangers a lot of the times because you don't know them yet. That's another trigger. And then having good time management, having a good mindset and control of your schedule. That's another thing that can trigger stress and anxiety. Is just not being prepared or not having good time management, procrastinating, waiting till the last minute. I know some of us right now, and you don't have to raise your hands, but I know some of us right now, class will start at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. You roll out of bed at 7:45 or 7:55 and log in real quick so that you're ready for class. That habit right there, it creates tension and anxiety and creates a level of unease that doesn't necessarily have to be there. And teachers too, a lot of the times we've been teaching some of these classes for 10, 15 years. And because we know our stuff, we think that we can just shoot from the hip and log in a lot of the times. You still have to go back to the basics. I use this analogy all the time. Look at the NBA. Those professional basketball players have been playing for years, but every practice, what do? They go back to the basics of dribbling, shooting, and passing every time. So with that, teachers, I don't care if you've been teaching that class for 1 year or for 21 years, always prepare ahead of time and plan for that class as if it's the first time you're teaching it, because the more prepared you are, the calmer you are, the more organized you are, the less stress your students are going to have, because a lot of times they feed off of your stress and anxiety too. So the more prepared you are for class, you might be that calming factor for your students coming into class that day. They look for structure, they need structure. So the more organized you are, you're helping them to cope with whatever distress or distractions or jumbledness they've just dealt with before reaching your class that day. So in addition, time management, some of us are, I can do it people, the jack of all trades people. I can do it or it won't get right unless I do it. You can't have your hands in everything. Sometimes you have to learn the power of the word no. That is so important to just having a peace of mind, a piece of just spirit, and being able to organize yourself and not run yourself ragged too early. Students, just watch how much you're putting on your plate, especially those of us who are in our organizations. We want to serve our organizations. We want to serve to the best of our ability, but at no point in time should you stretch yourself so thin that you don't have time to recognize who you are, who you were before those letters, who you were before those commitments. You have to make sure you have good time management and just know, one, that you can't handle everything. And sometimes you may want to do it, but you may have to defer or delegate to someone else. I'm speaking to the professors and the adults and the other faculty members on this call too, because a lot of times we feel that rehearsal is just not going to go right unless we're on the podium. It's just not going to go right unless we're standing in front of the ensemble. And we have to make sure sometimes that we learn to delegate. I had to learn that the hard way years ago, but of course you learn by trial and error, you get better at it, and you find that, life doesn't pass you by so quick when you're not trying to have your hands in everything. So a lot of times, from our organizational people, just look at your priorities. Yes, we want to uphold our purposes. Yes, we want to serve. Yes, we want to stroll and hop and step and do everything else. That's great. Enjoy that, do that, but also make sure that you still have time for yourself, and that the activities you do decide to take on, I'd rather you take on a few activities and do them well than to take on a whole bunch of activities and halfway do them all. There's some other terminology you can use there, use it as you may, but you don't ever want to just halfway give of yourself. Whatever you do, you want to make sure that you're able to give your all and always put your best foot forward. Just adhering to these things and being mindful of these things sometimes can help you to avoid or kind of combat some of these triggers of stress, anxiety, and depression. We're in that age now where we live for the like, especially in social media. You'll post something on social media, and if you don't get the number of likes that you want, if you don't get the number of comments or responses that you want, you almost take it as if, someone's dissing you or someone's, just putting you down or putting you away. It's not that people are not interested in what you're saying. It's just a lot of times, we're scrolling through everything so fast, we're just at that age where you might not get as many likes as you want, but that does not determine your character or your worth. So I think, just with this microwave age now, we just got to have it. We wanted the shortcut way. We just have to look at what's really important. And it's not, the number of likes should never justify who you are, justify your character. I just think that it's so important to understand and to realize that you are enough. You are great. You are great with who you are. You don't need anyone to justify you. Just be true to yourself, be true to your character, stick to your morals. And just really assess, know that you are worth it. Know that you're worth it. Nothing is ever as bad as it seems, that you are good enough. You may not be where you want to be. And it's okay. Some of you all are 17, 18, 19, 20, probably 23, maybe 26 or older for my non-traditional students. However, Professor Stevenson said this great on our webinar. We have the false impression, us professors and administrators and advisors, we have the false impression that you're supposed to know exactly what you want to do in life when you come to college. You just got out of high school. You're still learning. Yes, we're training you in your career. We're training you in your major, but look at us. I'm almost 40. There's no way I knew exactly what I wanted to do when I was 18, 19, 20. I had an idea. I had a template, but it was no way, that's a working document. You all are a work in progress. You are a blueprint. It's not the final say where you are right now. I had a former student post on Facebook yesterday that she's just unhappy with where she is right now. She just feels she's graduated from school. She's not happy with the job she has. She just feels that at 25, she should be so much further than where she is right now. And it's okay to feel that way. But my reply to her was that it's okay that you're feeling like, you're not where you want to be, but you're not supposed to be yet. You're on the right track. You finish your education, you have a goal. And I told her, I said, take whatever it is you're looking for, whatever it is you want, find a picture of it and put it on your refrigerator, put it on your bathroom mirror so that you can see that you're working towards that goal every day. And then find one of those activities towards your goal and check it off as you go. Check it off, do the small things first, and then work up to the bigger things, and eventually you'll get there. But a lot of you right now are just feeling like, I'm not where I want to be, or this is not going my way, that's not going my way, I just want to give up. Please don't give up. There's a lot of positivity here. There are a lot of things that are in your future. You're on the right track. It's just time for you to just reassess where you are, look at what your target is, and we need to backwards plan. Begin with the end in mind. Look at where you want to be, and then work on the steps that you have to take to get there. So if you want that Maserati, if you want that 5-bedroom house, get you a picture of it, and then look at yourself and look at the steps you have to take to get there. It's just no way at 18, 19, 20 that you're going to know exactly what you want to be doing for the rest of your life. You have an idea. You all have some fantastic majors. You're in a fantastic program, but use this as your platform to build upon what you're going to do in your future. This is not your be all end all. This is just the start. So don't feel like you have to have it all together right now. You just have to have an idea of what you want and just continuously set short-term and long-term goals to get there. Okay, so those are some triggers for just stress and anxiety. A lot of the times, we have anxiety about taking a test. Test anxiety. We have anxiety about passing an audition, especially freshmen who probably auditioned for Dr. Reed and, was looking, you were looking for a scholarship. You were anticipating or a little anxious about how well you were going to do. You were probably nervous when you did your audition, and you were concerned that the quality of your audition affected the amount that you were awarded. Okay, that's fine. That's normal to feel that way. That anxiety comes and goes. It's all determined on specific stressors, what's happening at the time. Some of us, we are great performers. We perform well with the ensemble, but when it comes to performing solo, we get stage fright. Okay, that's state anxiety. State anxiety is just short-term anxiety that has to do with a specific situation. You're not used to speaking in front of people. You're not used to being on stage in front of people because you feel all eyes are on you. So you'll get up there, you would have nailed it in your applied instruction, applied lesson. Then you get up on stage, and that one measure that you nailed in practice, that one measure, either the note didn't come out of the horn, you squeaked on your reed, or you rushed too fast through the passage, or you just didn't play any of it right. And so now you feel like the world is crashing down. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. Some of your professional recording artists today have made mistakes right in their performances. It's not necessarily how you make the mistake, it's how you recover or how you rebound from the mistake. Okay. Some of us professors, we make mistakes every day, but it's how you rebound. We may say something that's totally off the wall from what we meant to say, in our presentation, like, what in the world did I just say? You're saying that to yourself, but at the same time, you're coming up with the rebound, or how do I bounce back from this? So for those of you who deal with test anxiety, a couple of things I'll say to you. Don't think of it as a test. Just think of it as a practice exercise, okay? When it comes to your test, make sure that you're not studying or trying to cram the night before your test. You want to make sure that, okay, you allow yourself time to rest, breathe, and relax before your test. If you're going to a testing site, especially those of you taking practice, or if you're going, even if you're getting ready to go across campus to take a test, make sure that everything you need for that test, you set it out the night before. Car keys, ID, your lunch, your test ticket, whatever you need, set it out near your door the night before. That way you're not scrambling for things the next morning and creating more anxiety on top of that. Have a study plan together. If you know you have a chapter test or a unit test or a playing test come up, think about the portions of the test that you're uncertain about first. Think about the most difficult things that you just don't know the answer to. Study those sections first. Make flashcards, color code your flashcards, draw pictures, or have some type of mnemonic device to help you to remember and kind of recall that information in your head as you're preparing for that test. If it is a playing test, like a scales test, and you know that you nail the concert B flat, E flat, and A flat scale, but you always bomb on the B major scale or the G flat major scale, practice the most difficult scales first. Practice them over and over again, turn them into a song, have a jam session with yourself. Everybody has smartphones now, some type of technology. Record yourself playing your scales and then listen to the playback. Listen to how you sound. That way you're more comfortable with how these scales sound. You're more comfortable with how you sound, and you're building confidence at the same time. When it comes to just getting ready for the test, make sure that you watch your nutrition and watch what you're eating as well. You don't want to eat heavily the night before a test. You don't want to eat heavily right before a test, no matter what time of day it is. All of that can kind of add to sluggishness, and it kind of affects, just your concentration and things like that. You also want to make sure that you're drinking plenty of water, that you stay hydrated. Anxiety sometimes, and dehydration usually go hand in hand. So you want to make sure you stay hydrated as you all are preparing for your test. Get enough sleep. Sometimes you have to turn off the Among Us and the Assassin's Creed and whatever else, the Fortnites and everything else that you're playing. You have to turn it off. I guarantee you there's a timer on your PlayStation. My daughter has a timer on hers. So at a certain time of day, it cuts off. So sometimes you just have to walk away from those things. And don't be afraid to turn your cell phones off at night when you're trying to go to bed. Cut it all the way off. A lot of the times those distractions and you constantly getting up through the night, you're cutting into the time that you need to get your rest. When you're in a state of rest and you're sleeping, it's healing your body, it's clearing your mind, it's helping to strengthen your concentration. You need that sleep. You need at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep before you take any tests, especially if it's an early morning test. So just try to make sure you're eliminating as many distractions as you can. If you during testing, if you feel that you're getting anxious, I know they say some people suggest that you chew gum. I suggest that you have peppermint. I remember years ago in Florida, they passed out scented pencils to some of the elementary students taking standardized tests, and the scent that they passed out was peppermint. And the studies show they don't use it anymore, but the studies show in the short term that students that use the peppermint scented pencils did perform a little bit better than students who use a regular number 2 pencil on their test. So peppermint may have, there may be some truth to it, stimulating the mind and being able to help with concentration. So that's something to think about as well. So these are just a few things to help with test anxiety. Also, my biggest thing that I do with my practice clients is I say verbalize to memorize. Talk about it with someone else. Have one of your classmates or bandmates or your roommate quiz you up. You know, have them ask you questions that you feel would be on the test, and then you be able to regurgitate or repeat that information or recall that information to them. I think if you're able to have a conversation with someone about what's on your test, it's going to stick better, because if you hear it and if you write it down, it's like you're locking it into your mind. I found that to be highly successful for me, and I found that it's been highly successful for the people that I tutor as well. In addition to that, just verbalize it to memorize. Have you noticed, music majors, that we're the only people that really don't talk about our craft on a regular basis? Engineering majors, they get in study groups, they're talking about the latest design that they're working on, they're talking about the latest formula they're coming up with. And I guarantee you right now that for my music majors, on your Spotify and iTunes playlist, you don't have any classical, any romantic, any Baroque composers on your playlist. You don't have any 20th century composers, but I guarantee you have Drake, Migos, and everybody else that's out. Megan Thee Stallion and everybody else is on the playlist, but we don't have Chopin and Mozart on the playlist because we have to live our craft. We're the only profession, I think, that a lot of the times our students don't live their craft. We have to become our profession. We have to become our major, which means you have to listen to what it is you want to become. Okay, you may want to just teach jazz band later, that's fine. But to get through these classes, you might need to have some of these things on your playlist. And I think the more you listen to it, the more it becomes a part of you, the more it becomes second nature. So that when you see these things on a test, you're already familiar with the content because it's a part of your everyday language. Having a conversation with someone about theory. If you never talk about theory outside of theory class, it's not going to stick with you. If you never talk about your music literature outside of music class, it's not going to stick with you. I know in marching band, you go to the cafeteria, that song that you heard in band sticks with you because you find yourself humming it while you're standing in the line to get your plate. Or you find yourself just randomly humming it when you're in your room trying to clean up. You're humming the tuba line, you're humming the drum cadence that you marched into, or whatever it is. In that same manner, we need to make sure that we're verbalizing to memorize some of these other composers and theory concepts, talking about secondary dominance, talking about, inversions and things like that as well. Okay, so those are some things to help with test anxiety. To help with performance anxiety or stage fright, I would definitely encourage you to practice in front of a mirror. Practice in front of a mirror, everything from taking a bow to recognizing your accompanist. I think sometimes we're just so disrespectful. We'll finish whether we do good or bad, and we'll just storm off stage, and the poor little accompanist is just sitting there just wondering, okay, well, I did some work too. So just practice the way you're gonna perform. Practice in front of a mirror, practice for your roommates. If you're a part of an organization, get your organization involved with what you're doing in your presentation. So for example, let's say I'm just going to use Tau Beta Sigma and Kappa Kappa Psi for an example. If you know you have a music major in your organization, they're getting ready for a recital. One, all of you need to be there, but then two, have them, critique your performance. perform for them in a set location, and have them give you pointers or say, hey, yeah, I think you did well. I think you might need to change this, or you came across like this. I think if you're comfortable performing around your peers and performing around your friends, it kind of curbs the anxiety of performing in front of strangers. Also, practice in the arena before you perform. Sometimes reserve the recital hall if you can, and just go in there and just practice to your heart's content. Play the things that you have on your recital, and then finish and reward yourself by playing something that you love to play. Make up something if you don't have anything, or play some marching band music when you're done. I know some people would be against combining marching band music with concert band music, or with professional music like your major music, but if that's going to help you to kind of cope with getting your anxiety down, then why not reward yourself at the end of your practice session? So like I said, performance anxiety, I don't believe in that. People say, yeah, imagine everybody naked in the audience. That doesn't work. That really does not work. What we try to do our best when you're in recitals by not having people sit on the first 2 rows or first 3 rows to kind of help curb your anxiety. But at the same time, you have to kind of come up with vices to kind of help you get over that edge. I'm not sure if you remember the movie Akilah and the Bee, but to help her get over her performance anxiety on stage, she had a tap. She would tap the side of her leg to kind of get her through the words that she was spelling. That was her way, one, to channel into her memory, but it was also her way to curb her anxiety about being on stage and her fear of messing up and making a mistake. So find your vice, whether it's, I know some people swing and sway back and forth while you're playing. Some people over exaggerate and get into character while you're playing. Find a vice that works for you, but still looks appropriate for the occasion to kind of help curb your anxiety. But like I said, I think the more you get people involved and the more you play for your friends and play in front of a mirror, I think that will help to curb some performance anxiety as well. And in reference to like other triggers, like being away from home, we all have social media now. We all have, a lot of us have smartphones and ways to communicate. I think the best way to get over the anxiety of being away from home is to make sure you have a set time each week where you're communicating with your family and friends back home in a variety of ways. Send a random text message. I just want to let you know I'm thinking about you. Because while you're missing them, I guarantee they're missing you too. And sometimes that little word will help motivate you. And then when you get that text back, it could be the one little text that you needed to say, okay, yeah, I'm ready to go to class now. Put something on social media, just say, hey, this is how my week has been. Or, we like to do TikToks and things like that. Do something in, a day in the life of a college student, just put a blurb up like, well, today I washed my clothes, guys, or today I had this calf food and it wasn't that great. I hope your food was better than mine. So I think something like that will kind of help get you communicating with your family and friends often. It will get you to kind of be lighthearted about the situation and create some humor, but it will also make you feel good because while you're far apart, you're still connected with them every day. Use FaceTime. Use Google Duo, use Hangouts, or whatever you use to communicate and talk with your family as often as you can. I know I live out here in Nevada and my closest family right now is 35 hours away. So, of course, there's some homesickness there too, but FaceTime and daily text messages, helps, a lot and can go a long way. So it's not just for you college students. Some of us professors and stuff, we tend to be far away from people as well. We have to figure out ways to cope with that too. So those are, just dealing with some triggers as far as being away from home, dealing with test anxiety, dealing with performance anxiety, how to deal with strangers and your roommate. Again, communication is the key, but don't be afraid to learn about your roommate. Learn about the people that you live with. Try your best to meet somebody new every week. Just speak to them. Hey, how are you doing? Speak to somebody new in your class. Hey, how are you doing? And as you're doing that, you're starting to build a support system because you're going to find that somewhere on your campus, and I know it's tough to do it now with COVID going on, but you're going to find that somewhere in your campus community, you have someone from your same hometown or from a similar hometown as you. You're going to have someone with a similar background as you, someone with the same number of siblings you have, someone that has a family background or some type of family connection. You might be surprised. You may find someone else you're related to on your campus just by speaking to that person and learning more about them. As far as your roommate, get to know about things they like to do, their hobbies. holidays. How do they celebrate their holidays? And then try to find a way to recreate some of those things for you all on campus that you can still do even though you're away from home. I just think by turning those opportunities into positive interactions, that's going to help kind of curb anxiety just about dealing with new people and meeting new people. Just make it a point. You don't have to have a long conversation, but just make it a point to speak to someone new every day. Hey, how you doing? Okay, have a good day. You're on the elevator with someone. Have a good day. Have a blessed week, or whatever you decide to say. I just think that those interactions will kind of help you just to curb a lot of the anxiety that you may have about different situations. In reference to just identify needed support and just taking action, if you feel that you or someone you know maybe experiencing stress, or they're experiencing depression, they just feel like they've been in their room, they haven't been to class all week, you haven't heard from them all week, if they are not answering your text messages and they answer every message you send, if you find that someone was working on a group project and then all of a sudden they fell off from your group, you haven't seen them in practice, they're not in this meet right now, they've never missed a session, you just know something's not right. So if you find that you're in a situation like that, talk to someone, encourage them to talk to someone. You don't the one thing you don't want to do is try to solve someone's problem for them, but you want to be a good listener. You want to understand. You don't want to listen to judge. You want to listen to say, hey, I understand how you're feeling. You may be able to relate. Hey, I felt that way too. Had you considered talking to someone? Or I'm here if you want to talk to me. Or can I walk with you to talk with someone? Can I help you call someone to talk to? Would you feel comfortable talking to Dr. Reed or Professor Chalmers? Is there anything that I can do for you? Okay. And that's if you have a close friend, or if you have a roommate that you just noticing that something's not right about them, that, normally they're cheerful and all of a sudden now they're sad all the time, or they're usually very talkative and outgoing. And now every time you ask them if they want to ride out somewhere, go somewhere, they're like, no, I'm okay. No, it's okay. I'll be okay. No, I'm just going to hang here. I'm going to chill here. If there's something that's just off-putting about that, then you might want to say, hey, is everything okay with you? Is there anything you want to talk about? And then don't push the issue. If they say, no, I'm all right, say, okay, well, I'm here if you need me. You will always want to make it positive. You don't ever want to be pushy about a situation. And you definitely don't want to be judgmental. Of course, many of us, we're not qualified. I'm not qualified to give medical advice. So I would never tell somebody, yeah, well, you need to go take this, and this, or you need to do this, X, Y, and Z. No, you want to say, well, hey, I would suggest that you talk to someone. Here's some resources. Here's someone that we can call together, or here's someone that, that I would suggest you talk to or reach out to. If it is you, I would say, build a support system. Find someone that you trust, that you can confide in, that you feel will listen and not be judgmental. It could be Dr. Reed, it could be Professor Chalmers, it could be another faculty member, it could be a cafeteria worker, or it could be a custodian, but someone that you feel comfortable talking to, just so that you can get these things off of your chest. You can discuss and describe how you're feeling. You'd be surprised that good advice, or just good support can come in many different shapes or forms. There are many different resources I'm going to give at the end of the presentation as well, so that if you want or need to reach out to someone, you have these local and national resources available to you as well. But definitely taking action. I know a big thing now dealing with COVID, and we're going to have an interactive session in a second, is grief and loss and healing. And I know it's not easy. It is not easy to see that a friend, a classmate, a loved one has, passed on, or has had some type of difficulty, be it a financial hardship, be it the loss of a loved one, or just be it, some type of mental or physical turmoil that they're dealing with. So I know it's not easy to deal with things like that. In this time, I know since December, I've lost 8 people that have been very close to me, family members, friends, colleagues. Some of them are very young, some of them are older, of course, but it's never easy. How can you deal with grief and then still have to teach a class, or still have to go to work or go to class the next day? I would say the first thing, definitely, for those who, are of the faith background, you definitely want to whisper a prayer. just for them, for their families. But when you're praying for others, pray for yourself too. Pray that, that you are given healing, that you're given a peace of mind, that you're given a peace and understanding about what it is that you just heard or witnessed, or or the news that you just received. Because a lot of times we spend time giving good thoughts and prayers for everyone else, but you have to understand that you're grieving too. And so you want to say, hey, just bless me, or just give me the strength to be able to process this. Give me the strength to be able to, pay my respects. Give me the strength to be able to still do my daily activities while still respecting and remembering all the good times about your loved one, your best friend, or your family, or whoever that you're dealing with, or your pet. I've had some people who their pets are their family members, and it's just as difficult to lose a pet, that's been so close to you. And some people don't understand that, but a loss is a loss. And every loss, it takes time. We don't all grieve the same. We don't all heal the same. And there's no set timeline. Understand that there's no timeline on your recovery or your healing. Just know that you do have a support system. Find someone you can talk to. If you're musical, I would say use your instrument and just play tributes. Play a tribute to yourself, play a tribute to your loved one. Just use that and just get your aggression out, or get your grief out through your instrument, or musically write a poem. Find some creative way to channel that grief and into something positive. A lot of times, that's how we have a lot of our art forms today, with blues and gospel and jazz and R&B and soul. A lot of those songs were created out of someone expressing their grief, or expressing their loss, or expressing a tribute to someone that they loved. So I would definitely say, just breathe, find someone to talk to, create a support system, and then definitely make sure that you are taking the time to process that you also need those prayers. You also need that healing as well. So coping strategies, like I said, identify the need of support, identify when you need help, and that it's okay to get help. Mental health is something that's treatable. Mental health ailments are something that's treatable. It's not that it's something wrong with you. It's not that you're crazy. And it's not that you have to be psychotic to seek out mental health advice. Everyone has had a period of highs and lows in their life where we may have been unsure about something. We may have been nervous about a job interview, or we may have been worried that, hey, I didn't do so good today, so I'm going to be reprimanded for X, Y, and Z, or what's coming down the pipe now, or what else now. So we just have to know that it is treatable. It is, something that will go away. It will get better. It's just, some things take a little bit longer than others. The next steps, one thing I want you to do right now, I do a Points to Ponder series on Facebook. And this week I've been reflecting on the 5 R's. And this is something that I want everyone to take a moment to do. We're going to start with reflect. So for my students, I want you to reflect on just how things are going this semester. Reflect on your past week, your past month, and this past semester. How are you doing academically? Are you going to all your classes? Are you doing well in your class? Are you turning in your assignments on time? Are you behind on any assignments right now? I heard Dr. Reed said that today is the last class for you here. So I assume that means the semester is coming to a close for you at Fayetteville State University. How are you doing emotionally and physically? Are you preparing for your exams? Are you ready for your exams? And then I want you to think about where you are and think about the goals that you set for yourself this semester and academic year. Some of you came into the semester said, yeah, I want a 4.0 this semester. I want to finish my senior year strong. I want to improve my grades from last semester. I want to be first chair. I want to be section leader. I want to be drum major, or whatever you decided your goals were for the year. And thinking about your goals, are you on target towards reaching or achieving your goals? And if so, how close are you to your goal right now? If you feel that you're way off target, how far are you away from your goal? What do we need to do to try to get you back on track, or to support you as you get back on track? Then I know this is a tough one. This is one that might step on some toes, but reflect on your interactions right now with your professors and your advisor. How often do you communicate with your professors? How often do you communicate with your advisor? And do you feel that you have good communication with them? What's going well for you? What's not going so well for you when it comes to your advisors? And what additional support do you feel that you need right now, especially with COVID, with the end of the semester coming, with next semester? I'm sure you all have been registering for classes for the spring. What support do you feel that you need from your professors or advisors to be successful as you finish this semester and prepare for the next? Reflect on your support system. And for students, if you don't currently have a support team or circle, I would definitely suggest creating one. Think about who you want to include in your circle, like what friends are you close to right now? What organizational members are you close to? Who do you look up to that you could include in your circle? This could be other students, it could be faculty members, it could be family members back home. And then what support would you like to see from your circle? Do you want to be able to call someone when you need to talk? Do you need a ride to work? What support system, what do you need from your support team? And then finally, I want you to think about your nutrition, your sleep, and your self-care. Are you eating on a regular basis? Did you eat today? Okay. Are you making wise choices in regards to your nutrition and hydration? Are you drinking enough? Are you eating the right things to take care of yourself? And are you getting adequate sleep? Have you taken any time just for yourself within the past 2 weeks? And if so, great. I want you to continue to focus on those things that you're doing well and continue to push those things. And if you're not, don't stress about it. But I would like for you to find at least one day this week. I know this week is almost over, but find some time between now and Sunday to just take 30 minutes for yourself. If you're on campus and you can safely go outside, find some place on campus where you could just go and just meditate or just take some time for yourself, or just find some place you can walk to or drive to so that you can take some time with yourself. Take yourself on a date. Go on a date with your middle name. Okay. And I say your middle name because a lot of the times we hear our first names all day, every day. So we might not give ourselves the respect we deserve. So take your middle name on a date. Set aside an appointment for your middle name. And for the people that say, well, I don't have a middle name, that's okay. Use your line name or use your nickname. Use Junebug or whoever, Peanut or whoever you are, or Pookie, and take Pookie on a date. Like I said, I want you to reflect on these things so that you can become more aware of exactly how you're doing. Like, when somebody says, hey, what's up with you? You can actually think and actually answer what's been up with you when you reflected on what it is that you're doing. For my faculty members, reflect on the courses you're currently teaching and the students you're currently advising, or if you're advising student teachers, or if you're a department chair and you have you're supervising the faculty in your department. Reflect on the past week, month, and semester, and how are you doing managing your workload, your course load, your teaching load, in addition to balancing family time, your kids, your spouses or significant others, and just dealing with whether you're taking care of a parent. A lot of times that can add to our plates too. If you're taking care of an elderly parent, just what are you doing? How are you doing? And then how are the people you're supervising doing? Are you in tune to how your students are doing? Are you in tune to how your faculty members are doing, your colleagues are doing? Are you in tune to how your spouse is doing? So a lot of times just think about that as well and just reflect on that. Reflect on, what's up with you. As far as the goals you've set for your courses this semester and yourself, are you on target with those goals? Are your classes learning what you wanted them to learn this semester? If so, great. If not, how far do you feel you're away from your target? And what do you think you need to do to do better for next semester? Reflect on your interaction with your students and administrators. Have you been regularly communicating with your students, your administrators? Is that communication, has it been positive? What are some things that are going well? And what are some things that you would like to see improve between your communication with yourself and your students, and yourself and your other colleagues and your administrators? And then, of course, for you too, sometimes we spend so much time worrying about our students, worrying about what classes we have to teach, going to this meeting and that meeting, that we forget to eat. We forget to take care of ourselves. We forget to set aside those appointments for ourselves because we're advising students every hour on the hour, especially when registration week came around. So make sure that you yourself take yourself on a date, and that you have some time set aside for yourself to kind of just decompress and deprogram and debrief, and not think about work, not think about family, not think about the kids, but think about how you are doing as a person, okay, before any of this was on your plate. And then once we've reflected, I want you to just reevaluate some of your things. And I know it's tough to say, and it's not saying, oh, no, you need to transfer. That's not the point of this message at all. But I want you all to think about why you chose the institution you chose, because you chose it for a reason. Reconnect with why you chose where you are, your goals for that institution, what it means to you to attend Fayetteville State University, or for outside people listening in on the call, what it means for you to attend the university you chose. Is it that you're a family legacy? Did your family attend that institution? Did it have your major? Did it have a very strong program here than the other? Because you all are attending a great school. Whatever institution you are a part of, it is a great institution, and it is the right institution for you. And then what does attending your institution mean for your future career? Then think about your major. Some of us chose our major because our parents told us to. Some of us chose because we thought it was cool. And then some of us chose it because it's something that we've been destined to do since we were in middle school. But are you forging your own path? And what does your major mean to you and to your future career, personal, and family goals? For faculty and administrators, reevaluate your current position too. Are you in it just for a paycheck? Are you there just because there's nowhere else to go? Or I want you to kind of review your passion, because a lot of the times finding your passion again will help to kind of reignite, your fire, reignite your flame and your love for teaching, especially when you've been teaching for so many years. You definitely want to reflect on or reevaluate what your current position means to your career and your personal goals. So basically what I'm asking everyone to do is re-examine your why. Why am I doing this? Why am I here? Because a lot of the times this is going to help you to be more aware of the stresses and anxiety that you're feeling. And it's going to help you to realize that sometimes we may have that trait anxiety where we're putting a lot more emphasis and we're thinking we have a perception that things are worse than what they really are. Okay. By reevaluating or reviewing or reexamining your why, you're going to renew your spirit and your motivation. And it causes you to dig deep to reignite the passion you have for your chosen educational or career path. This examination helps you to prepare to realign yourself, and it will tremendously help with coping with stress, anxiety, depression, and other ailments. It will also help to motivate you. It's going to help students put a stop to procrastination. It's to help faculty members as well. And it's going to energize you to give 110% effort to being the best that you can be, no matter what you're doing. Once you've reflected and reevaluated just where you are in your academic or your professional career, I want you to reorganize your priorities. A lot of the times we're anxious because, like I said earlier in the call, we just have too much on our plate. We have too much going on at all times. We're always on the go. We're just busybodies. We can't sit still. We're just always booked up for some reason. So reorganize your priorities. Think about what comes first and what's most importantly to you personally, family-wise, academically, or career-wise. And I want you to begin with the end in mind. What is your target? What is the overall goal you're shooting for? And then thinking again about your why. How much time do you really have, or how much time have you given yourself for reaching a particular goal or a target? Sometimes stress, anxiety, and depression invade us because we put these strict parameters that we have to have things done by a certain time, or we consider it to be a failure. Sometimes it may take longer than that, but we've put so much constriction on ourselves that we tend to give a catalyst to anxiety, or give a catalyst to depression if we don't meet a specific deadline that we've engraved in our mind. For example, I just finished my PhD program this year. I was supposed to finish, in my mind, I was supposed to finish in 2017. I had in my mind that I was going to do that PhD program in 3 years and be out. Boy, was I wrong. And I got to the point where I was getting stressed because I wasn't meeting my target. Some of my colleagues were graduating before me, graduating and just getting out of there. And then I was left by myself to still finish this PhD program. And I got frustrated. And I thought about giving up on the program. But then I re-examined my why. I re-examined why I was doing this, why I was in the PhD program. It was for my family. It was in honor of memory of my grandparents. And it was because I knew that career-wise, I wanted to be in a certain place in my life. So that gave me the motivation and push to keep on, not past my timeline, but to the timeline that was right for me. And when I graduated in May, that is the time that I was supposed to graduate, not the time that I had set for myself, putting all these harsh parameters on myself to do so. And I felt more fulfilled waiting until May as opposed to trying to push myself and beat myself nearly to death because I couldn't finish in 2017. So definitely think about how much time you've given yourself for reaching your goal, and then think about the steps you need to take now to reach those goals or that target. Write it out. I know guys, a lot of the time, not to beat up on you all, but guys don't like journaling. You all don't like to write things down. I got it. Is that mentality that if you write it down, it's just not you. You're just not for writing your thoughts out and just having a to-do list. Even though a lot of times for my professors, if you're married, we give you that honey-do list. Can you do this for me? Can you do that? But a lot of times we're just not used to writing our thoughts out. We just like to go off the top of our head. But I would encourage you to kind of write down the steps that you need to take to reach whatever target you have. That way, as you accomplish each little milestone, you're kind of building up your confidence to persevere till the end, because you're seeing that you're checking those things off your to-do list. Once you've prioritized your things in life and decided what you wanted to do and where you are and what's important, it's time to reorganize your calendar. How much time do you have each day to dedicate towards each goal, task, or target that you have on your plate? And if you don't have time, or if you're looking at your calendar, how much time can you realistically set aside each day to looking at it daily, weekly, and monthly? What can I move around here? What can I cut out here to allow myself more time to work on the stuff that matters? One thing I love is that my significant other had mentioned that now he's focused on stuff that matters to him. So he puts, in his time calendar, stuff that's going to get him towards his goals that he's been putting on the back burner for a long time. So I was like, that kind of resonated with me, because I'm like, yeah, what can I set aside? I have all this time that I've given to everybody else. What can I set aside on my calendar to have time to accomplish my goals or my aspirations? And then be sure to make time for yourself and for your family and friends and even your pets. A lot of times I say, we stay so booked up and so busy, our calendars are so full, with this service activity, that service activity, this stroll off, that stroll off, or doing stuff for everybody else, that we don't have time for ourselves or our family or friends or our pets. And we tend to become more and more distant. So that's important to set aside that time for yourself. And once you've prioritized your calendar, I want you to reorganize your space. Okay. Look at your workspace. Look at your office space. Look at your learning space. For those of you students who are learning at home, distance learning, virtual learning, or whatever you want to call it, look at the space that you have each day. Where do you take your classes? Where in your home do you take your classes? Is that space conducive to productive activity? Or is it so jumbled and full of distractions that you tend to lose focus when you're sitting in that area? If so, one or two things have to happen. One, find another space that's more conducive to learning, or reorganize your space. So if I'm taking music theory and I'm sitting in a space, like, I don't know if you can see behind me, this is my workspace in my home. But if I was taking music theory, I have music theory posters up here. I have my secondary dominance up here, because I want my space to be conducive to the thought process that I have. So look at your workspace, look at what adjustments you can make to enhance or improve your space so that it's more conducive to positive productivity. What do you need to add to your space? Do you need a music dictionary? Do you need a periodic table of the elements? Do you need some library books? Do you need a set of headphones? Or do you need a beanbag chair? Because sometimes you might just want to sit down and be a little bit more comfortable than sitting upright all the time to take classes. And then what do you need to take away? You might need to move your cell phone charger to the other side of the room. You might need to move that PlayStation controller out of the room. Okay. I know I keep bashing PlayStation, but a lot of times, just whatever distractions you have, you just want to kind of remove them from your workspace or your learning space. Okay. And then in reference to your personal space, your space of zen or relaxation, what do you need to add or remove to enhance your mental, physical, emotional, or spiritual well-being? Okay, do you need prayer beads? Do you need to add your Bible to your space? Do you need to have aroma candles, scented candles? Do you need to have incense? Do you need to have a poster that kind of reminds you or takes you to the beach? So just think about your personal space as well. And what do you need to have? I know here in my home, I don't have any computers. I don't take any work into my room because I don't want to feel like I'm working when I'm trying to rest and relax and watch TV. So I don't have all my computer stuff is out here in my open workspace. And when I'm in my room, I didn't even have a TV in the room at first, but I got past that. But I wanted to make sure that my place of zen or my place of relaxation did not make me feel like I was still on the job. And it's kind of hard now because professors, we've kind of blurred the lines between work and home. Now it's like we've brought work into our home, into our personal environment, and it's kind of invading on our privacy. So now we have to find a different way to kind of block that out. And students too, we've kind of invaded your privacy because now you're working from home, you're learning from home, and that was your place to relax and be yourself. And now we're asking you to be serious about content in your place of zen. So we just have to try to find some way to add or remove things that so we can enhance our physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. And then finally, I know this is going to be tough for some of us to do, but we need to reorganize our circle. Sometimes we outgrow people, and sometimes the people we're around, people can cause stress, people can cause anxiety, people can cause depression. And a lot of times, they say misery loves company. There is some truth to that. There are so many factors that we do not consider when we're considering who we're connected with. Are any of the connections that you currently have toxic or an impediment to your growth or success or your ability to reach your goals? If so, we need to look at that. Faculty members, this is for you especially, and students, you probably already knew this, but we're going to address this. This is the situation of abuse. I know on every college campus, students are required to take sexual abuse training and prevention and watch all these videos and sign these affidavits, and professors, you are too. But one thing we need to really look at is who we're connected with, like your significant others, if you're dating, if you're married, and then just look at if it's conducive or an impediment to your learning or to your growth. There are a couple of kinds of abuse I want you to be mindful of. One being academic abuse. You may be with somebody, you may be, okay, I've been going to class every day, and then you're going to class, you have a big test to study for, yet you get in an argument with your significant other right before class. Now your mindset is not on that test, your mindset is on that argument. So if someone's deliberately starting an argument before an exam, project deadline, or presentation, or someone is using an insult to undermine your academic status, your grades, intelligence, or your ability to succeed. Like, it's almost like they're jealous of you being in college, or jealous of you being in your profession or having a degree, or if they undermine your performance by preventing you from attending class. Like if you live off campus and you depending on someone for a ride to get you to class, and they're just not taking you, or they deliberately make you late for class, they make you late for study groups, they make you late for rehearsal. That's something that's a red flag and that we should consider as a trigger. That's called academic abuse. Academic abuse is sabotaging a partner's relationships with other students or faculty because you think that, what's going on with them? Why are you talking to this person? Why are you talking to that person? I'll use me as an example. I'm a female band director in a male-dominated profession. So of course, most of who I talk to, they're going to be males because it's rarely that, it's few females in this profession. So, if someone comes in and say, well, I don't want you going to this meeting because I don't want you around him, or I don't want you around that. That's a form of academic abuse. Anything that can impede your progress in your classes, your interactions with your classmates, your interaction with your professors, be mindful of that. That is academic abuse, and that is something that can cause stress and anxiety. Emotional abuse. Of course, we know, someone's constantly putting you down, whether it's in a relationship or a friendship. Sometimes faculty members, believe it or not, I continue to pray for those students in this situation, but not all students who are in college are supported by their family. for being in college. They've taken a step out on their own, you know, to make a better life for themselves and to forge their own path. Yet the only support they're receiving is the support they get on campus. They may not be receiving support back home. So if they need that, you know, those are the same students who may not want to go home for the holidays, or if they go home for the holidays, they'll never talk about their experience in college because they can't share that with someone who's not supportive. So emotional abuse and isolation is a very big thing. Minimizing or, you know, just blaming someone else, like maybe it's me, you know, you're right, maybe I shouldn't be in school, maybe I shouldn't be studying this. You want to look at that because that's a red flag as well. Financial abuse, a lot of the times, and this happens, you know, of course, students, a lot of the times they'll get the refund check from school, they'll try to put the money aside to save their money, they'll go back home and the parents have spent the money, or their significant other is peddling money out of that student because they knew they got a college refund. So, you know, that's another red flag that, you know, we should be looking out for, because things like that, external factors outside of the classroom, are what our students are dealing with, and it's bringing stress and anxiety and depression. And a lot of times our students, especially if they're in new relationships away from home, they're not equipped to handle these types of abuse that they may be experiencing. They're not equipped to handle these types of encounters, or sometimes they may not even be able to recognize it. So that's something to look at as well. And then finally, stalking and intimidation. Sometimes, again, you know, there's power in the word no, but then there's also a lot of respect that we have to have with that word no as well. Our students a lot of time are forging their path, making new relationships, making new connections. And sometimes, you know, you may have had dinner with someone, or you may have went out on a date with someone, and you're just not vibing with that person, but that person just will not leave you alone. That sometimes can hinder your progress in your classes. It can hinder, you know, what you feel your perception of safety is as well. So just understanding stalking and intimidation can lead to stress and anxiety, depression, and other mental elements as well. So those are just a few things that I wanted to mention as far as abuse, because again, you know, there are certain elephants in the room a lot of the times. We don't like to talk about them, but these are conversations that need to be had in order to help put our students and ourselves in a better place mentally. Since COVID has hit, we've had an increase just across the country, just with mental health elements with our students, with our faculty members, both from internal factors dealing with school and external factors just dealing with life. And more and more people now are starting to seek help, but I encourage you, you know, to keep it going. I encourage you to motivate each other to reach out for help. Nobody's going to stereotype you. Nobody's going to beat you down, you know, for asking for help, but I would encourage you to do so. And on this slide, of course, we have some resources, and I'll send this to Dr. Reed after this. But if you feel that there's an immediate danger, of course, call 911. But I would encourage you, I have a colleague of mine, she presented with me on my mental health webinar a couple of weeks ago, Dr. Lanisha Williams. She is the CEO of Dr. W Consultations here in Nevada. Even though she works here in Nevada, she is available to you as a resource nationwide, and I've put her email address there. But the next couple of slides, I won't read through them all, but they have several resources, local, national, and regional, that you can reach out to just to get help. There are also some help groups out here, such as the Anxiety and Depression Association of America, where if you click on their websites, they give you a list of practitioners that are in your area that can help address certain ailments. But also, I would say confining someone. If you're comfortable talking to Dr. Reed, if you're comfortable talking to Professor Chalmers, I would encourage you to do so. Or you may want to reach out to someone else in the department. Dr. Reed and Professor Chalmers, I will also encourage you to use a little transparency as well. Sometimes to get people to talk about their issues, some people have a hard time talking about their issues, but more so males have an even harder time talking about their issues, because, you know, they grew up with the stigma that, man, you're supposed to man up. You're not supposed to cry about anything. Suck it up. You know, and so when we ask them to express their emotions, it's like, okay, do you want me to express my emotions, or do you want me to not say anything? So I would encourage you to maybe in some group sessions, like the beginning of your band rehearsal, be transparent sometimes. Like, man, it's been a tough week this week. I want to, how's everybody's week going? How are you doing today? Or you may be frustrated, and that meeting was crazy. Man, I don't think I could take another Zoom meeting. I'm zoomed out. And I think if you do that, it will spark positive conversation. It'll spark humorous conversation, of course. Like, man, yeah, my Zoom, I just clocked out and put a picture of myself up there today. But in talking, you'll start to pick up on some of those trends in your rehearsals with some of your students. If you just notice that something's off, if you just have a general conversation with your students and get everybody talking, I think you'll start to pick up on some things that may say, hey, I might need to revisit this, or I might need to follow up with this student and make sure they're okay. Band directors across the country, we're having a hard time right now just being able to keep our students engaged and motivated. I mean, this is teachers in general, but especially ensemble directors, because band and choir are performance classes and there's social activities. And it's hard to say we're going to have marching band or concert choir, but yet we're going to have you on Zoom or group Google Meet or something, and we want you to record yourself and chime in. That, that lack of communication, that lack of interaction with each other is causing a lot of stress and anxiety nationwide. And so we just have to figure out new ways and think outside the box to interact and keep the morale high, keep our students engaged, and let them know that we are there for them, even if we can't physically be there for them, that we're there for them. Here's my contact information. Reach out to me at any time. In addition, the mental health thing is something that we've been pushing since I've been seeing a lot of things on Facebook and Instagram, just with students just crying out, man, I give up. I can't take this anymore. Or teachers crying out, man, check on your strong friends. We're not okay. So when I see these things on Facebook, it's like, hey, we need to address this, because people are calling out for help, but no one's saying anything. Or they'll say, oh, I'm praying for you. Or they'll give the care emoji. That's really not going to do anything for me, if I'm really reaching out for help. So we need to be able to recognize the signs and kind of be a lifeline for each other. I would challenge each of you, for those of you who have social media, I would like for you, sometimes towards the end of the call, I know you have other work to do, but sometime today before you go to sleep, find 10 of your friends on Facebook or IG and just inbox them. Hey, you were on my mind. I was just thinking about you. I hope all is going well. If you can do more than 10, that's great. Don't do group messages, do individual messages. Even if you copy and paste what you're saying in each message, do an individual message. Just pick 10 people or 10 family members, somebody on Facebook in your social media group. Just find 10 people and just say, hey, I just want to let you know I'm thinking about you. I hope all is well. Because you'd be surprised, you might be that voice of reason that they need to hear today. And for you to get a message back from them, especially for someone you haven't talked to in a while, that might be the healing medicine you need to get through whatever ailment you may be dealing with today. So I would encourage you to find 10 friends. This is not just for students. This is geared towards the faculty members and guests on this call as well. Find 10 people sometime between now and Sunday. Reach out to them and just say, hey, I'm thinking about you. You were on my mind. Hope all is well. Hope your family is doing well. I look forward to hearing from you. When you say that, it's like they're almost obligated to respond back to you. Even if they respond back with a thumbs up, that's a response, and it lets you know that they're okay. All right. So here's my contact information. Feel free to email me, inbox me, direct message me, or give me a call or text message. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and open it up for any questions that you may have, and turn it back over to Dr. Reed and Professor Chalmers. I'm here to answer any questions you may have. You can ask me anything that you want to ask me.
Any questions? I'm sure we have some questions.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm wonderful. I know you talked about food. And how that impacts you. What are some healthy snacks that you would suggest, like while you're going about your day?
Well, something that gives you energy, of course, I'm not a nutritionist, but I definitely know that if you are dealing with a lot of anxiety and depression, you want to try to stay away from as many greasy foods and fried foods as possible. You want to try to cut back on the spicy foods that you have and cut back on the sugar. Yeah, simple sugars is like the quick way when you have a granola bar, fruit snacks, or a Snickers bar, to get you through the day. But you want to try to eat as many raw vegetables or vegetables as you can, something light. Have a salad from now, but don't have no boring salad. Kind of jazz it up a bit, put some up there, to give it some personality. But then too, I don't know what the situation is like with your dorm rooms, but for those of you who live in like the apartments on campus, get together. You may not be able to get together, visit, you know, physically, but virtually, get together with some of your friends and challenge them to a cooking contest for the night. Be like, look, my sweet is better than yours. We got this going on. We got the wings going on over here. And I think sometimes if you cook your own food, a lot of times it's just healthier and you're going to be more mindful of what you're putting into your body. So that's for those of you who have the capacity to cook on campus, because I know some of those dorms don't have kitchens, but if you're able to turn it into a contest, because then you're killing two birds with one stone. You're cooking nutritious, healthy food. You're showing off your skills, but then you're also interacting with friends and you have that support system so you don't feel so isolated and lonely. I know me and some of my sorority sisters, we're doing a virtual cook-off for Thanksgiving. So, that may be something that you may want to get into. If you got the best wings on campus, then show off your wings, by all means.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question. I'll
Yes.
just thank you for coming to speak with us today, because this was really, really well needed. I think for a lot of us this year. But like my question is, like, I find like me and my friends, a lot of us, we kind of in the same boat where we're just in the rut where like we feel like nothing matters no more because there's been so much stuff going on. So I would say, like, for you, like, what tips would you give to someone like me or my friends where like we kind of at that point to where like I just don't feel like doing anything anymore, nothing even matters anymore, like stuff that we can do to help us get out that rut or be able to just have more of a positive outlook on things?
Well, first, I would say think about one thing that you really want to do if COVID wasn't going on, or post-COVID, like a post-COVID celebration. So think about like a trip. It could be a cruise, or think about something that you really wish to do. Like, hey, I want to take a trip to this college's campus, or I want to go to this classic or this game. And think about that and just what you would do, something to kind of motivate yourself to be positive, but also go back to how you felt before COVID. When you all were in band practice and you all were getting ready for this game, what I would suggest you do, y'all might want to go to YouTube, watch some band videos of like some of your favorite battles, be it ones you were in or some of your other favorite bands, because people, it's okay to be in your band and have other favorite bands. I mean, I went to Virginia State, but I always loved Norfolk. I always loved Bethune-Cookman. I always loved Jackson State. I always loved Southern. So, it's okay. I would say find you some band videos or find you a video of something that you like and critique those videos. Say, hey, man, if we could go to the classic, look at some of those videos and just reminisce, have a jam session or reminisce session or watch party or something like that. Or, I mean, in the essence of like something like Oprah's book club, do like a video club or a watch night. A movie that went very viral this week was Jingle Jangle. And I know a lot of my friends online, because we've been isolated, the best thing that could have happened to us was we did a critique party about Jingle Jangle and about the soundtrack, about the movie. We all made sure we were watching it at the same time. And so we were just going in about the movie as the movie was going on. So I would suggest find an activity that you all can kind of reminisce, but then also plan a post-COVID trip or plan a post-COVID celebration. Even if you can't physically go to those places, plan some big celebration for you all to have on campus, or some type of picnic or something for you all to get together and have some type of gathering when this thing clears up. So that's one thing. Now, as far as your goals, I would motivate you to stay the course. Remember your why. Remember what it is you want to do, whatever your major is. Think about the salary you could be making when you graduate. Start looking into those salaries, and then just kind of rekindle yourself, get back together with your major and what that major is going to lead to, and then motivate each other. Make sure, and I would say create this pack now that's going to last a lifetime. Whatever your majors are, if they're all different, vow that you're going to support each other Like, okay, congratulate each other when you get the job, send them a card when they get hired for their job. Make sure you follow through with this promise, and then always support each other. I know right now to this day, I still support my students. I still support my family when they get promotions. One of my students just opened a restaurant in Elizabeth City the other day. So what did I do? I paid for the logo. So what else did I do? I couldn't order a dinner because I'm out here in Nevada. He couldn't FedEx it to me. So I just sent him money. So I bought a virtual plate. So kind of I think if you think of those things, it kind of rekindles your why, and it kind of remotivates you all to have a love for what you're doing again. And know that this too shall pass.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
Hey, Dr. Brock, how you doing?
Good. Oh my goodness. Hey Sean.
It's so good
What's
to
going
see
on?
you.
It's good to see you. I need one of those masks. I'm gonna have to become an honorary Marching Bronco Express member. Get me a mask.
Yeah, I will most definitely send you one through the mail.
Okay. What's going
Um,
on with you?
Not much, just coming off for doing sophomore qualifying exam, and for most of the music majors that are on the call, some of us did sophomore qualifying, or some of us are doing just completing our juries. So, what can you say, for us to mentally prepare, to start mentally preparing ourselves for senior recital, because
Mm,
that's right around the corner. So what's
yes.
some things that you think that we could start mentally preparing for now to get us ready?
Um, well, one, sophomore qualifying finals or exams, I take my hats off to you, because if my professor said I had to do something like that when I was in school, I'd have like changed my major. No messing. But I'm just joking. But one thing you do is prepare early. So do not wait on your applied instructor to just pick your literature for you. I want you to find, I know you've played on recitals since your freshman year. You may have had some pieces you liked. You may have had some pieces that you didn't like. In a perfect world, technically, starting your sophomore year, one piece from each of your years should make up the repertoire for your senior recital. You're revisiting some of the pieces and adding some new material as well. But what I would suggest you do, start listening to your favorite composers now, your favorite pieces now. Ask for your music and kind of get a mindset. Hey, where do you want me to be by the time I do my senior recital? Talk to your applied instructor. What level should I be on? What is literature appropriate for this senior level? And then start listening to it. And then you take your applied instructor a list of ideas. Say, hey, I really like these songs. Could we possibly pick one of these to go on recital? Or could you let me know if you already have in mind what you want me to play on my senior recital, so I can start listening now? Then do your research. I want you to get copies of every recording. Don't just rely on one recording of someone playing that work that you just played. You need to listen and have different perspectives. So you need to get at least 5 different recordings of someone playing that solo, and then listen to it. Find the good and the bad that you want to take away from each recording. And then also listen to professional people that play your instrument to decide what timbre you want to try to imitate. Do your research early. Don't just do surface research on how to play the music, because you don't want to just play mechanical, you want to play musical. But then you also have to know the literature that you're playing. So research that composer, research that composition, learn about the form of that composition. It's not to create a homework assignment, but it's saying, hey, I know this piece through and through, and I know that because this piece was written in the Baroque period, that allegro does not mean the same allegro it means in the 20th century, because back then the instruments still couldn't handle playing allegro at the speed that we're playing them about literature today. So allegro back then for Baroque composition might be 84 to 96 beats a minute, or maybe 112 beats a minute, but we're playing it at 130 and 140 because we're not interpreting it correctly. So research your music, listen to your composer through and through, and then I would say chirp away at it. If you're able to get your songs ahead of time, start chopping away at it a measure at a time, and just prepare yourself. Get early critique and early feedback on it from your advisor or your applied instructor. But then also too, have some fun with it. Aside from the music, Think about your outfit. Start picking out the bomb outfit that you want to have. What do you want to walk out on stage looking like? What do you want, what do you want decorating your stage? What type of plants do you want at the beginning of your stage? How do you want to be set up? What do you want your stand to look like? Make sure you have the best stand in the entire department out there for your recital. You want to look good and look the part. And then for those of you who are doing receptions and stuff after your recital, what are you serving? So start thinking about the planning and the fun aspects of your recital now. I know the school may record it or videotape it, but do you want your own videographer there? Do you want your own photographer there? How's your hair going to look? So think about the fun aspects of your recital and make it personable. Okay, make it, as a lifelong impression. Yeah, we have certain guidelines we have to follow to keep it under NASM guidelines for what your recital should be, but it should also be personal and individual. Your recital should not be cookie cutter, because that's boring. You should leave your legacy and your mark on Fayetteville State University when you step off of that stage. So hopefully that information will be helpful.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's so good to see you.
You too.
Anyone else?
Hi, Dr. Brock. How are you?
Hey, how are you doing? It's good to see you again.
Good to see you. I'm doing fabulous. So my question for tonight is, us members of Tau Beta Sigma, we would like to do events like this, mental health, to see how our students are doing and other people in our community. What are some key things? What are some key topics, interactions, or tips that you can give us to go about talking to other students and making sure that they are okay?
The best thing to do is never assume that don't push just one topic. I would suggest doing maybe a suggestion box, a confidential suggestion box, put it in the front of the band room or the choir room or to the entrance of your music building, and have people just suggest topics for your workshops. And of course, those of you suggesting that are listening on the call, be serious about it. Don't put, just frivolous things in the box. We want to make sure that this is productive, but take suggestions from the students and see because you're going to find that once you open up pieces of paper, it's going to be so many people saying the same thing. It'll be common themes that pop up. So start with that. But then also don't always make it a lecture presentation. Just have like a think tank or a round table where sometimes they may come in and you might have a prompt on the board like Jeopardy or a buzzword like Jeopardy. And then they speak about that word for a few minutes and talk about how they feel about it and things associated with it. Launch the timer and then go to another word. You may also, because we're all musical, turn it into a musical jam. So use something like Beat Shazam, and then use music as an interlude between periods of serious topics. Use some type of music or some type of activity, kind of lighten the mood. You don't want all of your presentations to just be serious and just give information. You want them to leave with a good takeaway, with things that can help them heal. Because if they're coming to your workshops, they're coming for help. They're saying, what can I do to end this, to get better? So you always want to have something that they can take away where is beneficial and they can actually use it and apply it immediately to their life situation. So have some interactive games, activities. There are many worksheets online that you can Google and download for some of your sessions. Have a theme, and then keep kind of like earth tone or light positive colors. When you're dealing with depression and anxiety and stuff, you don't want to have dark or dreary or gloomy colors decorating your session. So always keep things very kind of light and energetic, something to stimulate positivity. So some brighter colors. So research some of those like pastel colors, or research some of those colors that kind of trigger positive things in your mind.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
I have a question. How are you doing, Dr. Brock?
Good. How are you?
I'm fabulous. So earlier you mentioned that males have a hard time when it comes to like expressing emotions and things of that nature. Are there any like common key tips that you can give us to look out for in case we see that, or we want to address it, but we need to know what to look for?
Yeah. With guys, a lot of times they'll give you telltale signs. They won't outright come out and tell you that something's wrong. But if you notice that they're just like really reserved more than usual, or if they're just really tense, like they're not looking at a lot of people, they always have their head down, you know, between songs, or you'll ask them a question and they'll just overly exaggerate it to snap at you for no reason, or just their response has nothing to do with the question you asked. Usually those are telltale signs. But then if a guy wants to communicate, do not hinder them, let them communicate. Females, we have to, or ladies, we have to really be a little bit more receptive and understanding, and we cannot be so quick to judge a man that's expressing his feelings. We have to encourage them to express their feelings. You know, of course, growing up, and Professor Smith shared this on my webinar. She said, if take a bike, for example, if we fell off a bike, scraped our knees, like, oh, what's wrong with you? I'm sorry, no, I want to make it feel better. Okay, let me kiss your boo-boo. If a guy falls off a bike, man, you'll be all right, toughen up, sucking up, you know, suck it up. And it's like, what? You know, they're hurt just like we are, you know, so I just think we need to be, it's going to take some education. That's not going to change overnight. But I think what I mentioned to Dr. Reed and Professor Chalmers, just about having open conversations and being transparent themselves, because they are guys, and just being able to share, like, I mean, I was frustrated today. Man, if one more student emailed me at the last minute and say, what can I do for extra credit? You know, I think, you know, if they're transparent about some of that stuff without overstepping bounds of like releasing personal information about students, I think it's going to prompt the guys to be more open about talking about their frustrations and how they feel.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
Hi, Dr. Brock. How are you doing?
Hey, what's going on? My partner in crime.
I know that's right. Everything is good over here. My head drum major is on the call, and she's a senior. She has a very competitive GPA. She's a member of Honor Society, social and community service organizations. So I'm sure she's become used to that niche at where she is at Hillside, and she's used to it. She's getting ready to become a freshman and brand new at, who knows, she has so many opportunities. So what kind of advice would you give to her as far as how to make that transition, and when she does, how to be comfortable and finding her place and still being as competitive as she was on the high school level?
My advice would be to continue to be herself. She doesn't have to water down her skills or her talents. I would say go in with an open mind, go in with a flexible mind, understanding that it is going to be a different environment than what she has at Hillside, and that there are going to be some things, you know, some traditions in place, or some guidelines in place, or some standards in place for whatever program she enters that may be different from, you know, what she's accustomed to. And so there have to be some flexibility there, but communication is key. Put her best foot forward. She does not have to water down her skills, practice, you know, still have the same work ethic that she has now. Don't let that change. I would say make sure that she keeps herself organized, keeps a calendar, because the workload is different, the responsibilities are different. And then just being a freshman at college, she has to navigate so many things. I'm not sure she's going to continue band in college, but if she does, navigating the band requirements, and then navigating course requirements, and then navigating life requirements, if she's going to live on campus, those are 3 different dynamics. So just making sure she keeps a schedule, a to-do list, at least for her first semester. Once she gets through her first semester, she should be well enough into a routine that she could be highly successful. But also do not be afraid to communicate. All professors are approachable. You just might have to approach them differently. But make sure that the second she feels that she's running into some difficulties, do not hesitate to reach out to someone. And if it just happens to be a personality clash, because sometimes professors, you may feel more comfortable talking to someone else in that department, just make sure that, you know, email or professor, you know, but if you don't feel comfortable talking to that professor, still copy a professor on the email. Say, hey, I'm dealing with this issue. I don't understand this coursework. Just, you know, early communication and off the communication will help her to establish a routine that she can be comfortable with during her first semester in college.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Okay.
Prof.
Well,
Prof. Chalmers.
Hey.
Yeah. I want to thank you again. Very
Yes.
valuable information that it's not just. Oh, you can't hear me.
No, we can't. I think you might be turned around somewhere. Got to turn it up.
Let me turn me up. Hold up. All right, is that better?
Yes, that's better. There we go.
Yeah, and I was gonna say thank you. A lot of obviously the topics that you're talking about, it just covers just a wide field. So, um, that anyone really can really touch on. So, I really appreciate that. Very very great variety of subject matter. So, thank you again. And what we'll do is again we'll go to the I'm gonna go over here to the and see who we have in here that's supporting us today and give you all a shout out.
Indeed.
Um, let's see here. So we appreciate everybody that's on the call today. Specifically, we have Miss Silva Haskins from Hillside High School. Thank you for coming on. Had a chance to talk to your students the other day, and very excited for what you're doing over at Hillside, and we really hope that Bevel State University can be a home for some Hillside seniors coming up. So really great to with your group as well. Also, to Mr. Charles Connor, appreciate you, sir. He's out there in Vegas, Vegas too, right?
Yes, he is.
Both of y'all out there in Vegas. Mr. Roosevelt Pratt, Mr. Oscar Wright, appreciate you, sir. See here, Mr. Devon Pickett, just all the supporters that's on. We thank you. If there are any students of Miss Brock that is on, we thank you as well. Also, all the high school students that are on, we appreciate your presence as well, and also the students. So, um, the information, Miss Brock put some information in the chat. So make sure you all take advantage of that. If you have any further questions from what we talked about today, just
Can
great to
everybody hear?
say it again.
Is it still low?
No, it should be
It's
good.
good. It's good.
Okay.
Okay. Let me hold up.
There you go.
Let's try this right here.
Mm-hmm.
No, but we thank everybody. But no, we thank everybody and for everything that you all are doing with this series, Dr. Reed, everything, staff, students, leadership, what we're doing with this series. And even though we're at the end of our semester, this is going to continue as well. This is going to be an ongoing series. So again, look out for some more great things to come with this series.
And I posted the link to my survey in the chat for those of you who would like more information, or if you would like for me to do future workshops, just let me know that in the survey, and I will be glad to reach out to you. I do a variety of workshops, not just on mental health, but music education, teacher licensure, professional development, not just for students, but for faculty, staff, and administrators as well on the K-12 and higher ed level. And also just preparing for, I have a workshop coming up soon called What's Next? Life After Graduation. And this will be geared towards those who are getting ready to graduate and trying to get into the workforce or trying to go into graduate school. So it's gonna kind of help you find yourself, especially for performance majors who still need to understand that you're gonna be self-employed when you graduate. And so trying to help you navigate that.
Awesome. Man, again, I can't thank you enough. This is something that's needed. And for you music education majors or education majors, I think last week we talked about how when we had the drill master come in and talk about drills, and that piece is not really taught in a lot of classes at school. Well, believe it or not, the things that Dr. Brock discussed today aren't covered in a lot of our education coursework with this type of detail. And when you get out there as a teacher, especially a band director, you're going to become a therapist, whether you like it or not, of sorts. And what I mean by that doesn't mean that you're going to have to be a literal therapist, but you need to have some type of tools and be able to point students in a direction, or communicate with them or notice certain signs of certain things, as we've all experienced, right now. One of our students also lost their grandmother to COVID just recently also. So, I mean, it's just a very tough time, for everyone, and trying to stay on top of those types of things, because no matter what we're doing, in our careers, even beyond teaching, you're going to be interacting with human beings. And these are good things to take note. And so I sincerely appreciate it. We're going to close our class out. So Dr. Brock, you don't have to hang out. If you want to hang out, that's fine. I did want to acknowledge this weekend. We had some new initiates in the Kappa Kappa side, the Theta Tau chapter. Would like to introduce them to the band. We got to get permission to introduce them to the world. That's another stressor in the processes of putting videos and things and such, out and that kind of thing, right? But in fact, Leah, check your chat about that video. But if you can, let's see, everybody here, let's start with the ace and go all the way and just introduce yourselves.
We're gonna keep this live on YouTube.
Just introduce yourself.
He's in the plot right now.